What's going on inside those pods? That's right, this week we're going to be looking at troubleshooting pods, and we're just going to have a little dig in, look at logs, look at events. I'll create some broken things and we'll have a look at how we can find the information we need to fix those broken things. Obviously, the problem that we might have is that your issues won't reflect what I'm developing here. I'm pre-creating issues here. So, you know, pinch of salt and all that. And speaking of troubleshooting, last Sunday I had some pretty bad chest pains, and by Tuesday I was in hospital being troubleshooted. They were digging through, doing ECGs and chest scans and all sorts. And about 2 hours ago, I got back from a CT scan. So hopefully everything's okay. And I feel fine now. But I think out of matter of precaution, they're just checking everything over. So well, there might be a little bit of gappage between a couple of videos if things go a little bit downhill. But hopefully everything's okay. So that aside, let's take our mind off it by troubleshooting some pods. This will be a fairly quick video because there's not a massive amount I can really show you in terms of simulating things going wrong. There's a few things and some common things that might happen, but to be honest, it's one of those things where you're going to hit some issues that you just won't be able to find an answer to online. You'll just have to do some log diving essentially to figure out what's going wrong. But hopefully this will give you the tools to start that search to find out what is actually going wrong. So with that in mind, I've got my DNS utils pod here. I've deleted the original one that was in the cluster because it wasn't relevant since, I don't know, episode 15 apparently. So yeah, that's gone now. And what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to replace this command here for APK update. And the reason I'm going to do that is because APK is for Alpine Linux and we've got Ubuntu 2204 being run. So when I deploy this, we should actually see an error for the pod starting up. It should be a crash loop back off or something similar to that. So this is just one of those things where the pod's trying to start up. It can't start up because something has gone wrong within it. So we'll go ahead and apply this. I'll do kubectl apply F and 23 DNS utils. So we'll do that. I'll jump back over to my terminal. We'll take a look at kget pod namespace learning and see what's happening. So we can see here, look, we've got a run container error going on. Now let's take a look at this pod. So we'll describe it first. We'll do kubectl describe pod DNS utils namespace learning and see what that says. So if we have a look, we can see it was successfully assigned. It pulled the image and it created the container and then, oh, it failed. So unable to start container process, execute APK update, execute file not found in path. That's if you're used to Linux, then this will be a pretty simple one for you to fix. You can see straight away that it's trying to run this command, but the file hasn't been found in path, so it can't run it. It just doesn't know where it is. It doesn't know anything about it. So that's a pretty easy one, really. We can just fix that. We can go, okay, well, does it have APK installed? Well, it's Ubuntu, so no, the answer is no, but that's one of the things we can do. So I'll go ahead and delete that now, and we'll just get rid of that. And we'll take a look at another error that might occur. So another one that might happen, I'll just quickly revert that change, is that you may pull an image from a location that's not tagged or something like that. So I'll just stick another number on the end there and we will do apply again. So I'll do kubectl apply F23 and yeah, that's fine. And we'll take a look and see what happens this time. So if I do kubectl get pod namespace learning and see what's going on, we'll see this error image pull coming up on the status. So we'll get DNS utils. Let's just describe that and see what's happening. So it's failed to pull the image. Okay, it's saying it's not found, failed to pull and unpack the image from this location. Well, that's useful to know. We can have a look to see if that exists, right? So we know that docker.io is Docker Hub, or we should know that. And all we have to do is take a look at Docker Hub on the Ubuntu official image and see what tags exist. And yeah, it's right. I mean, there's 22.04, but there isn't a 22.042. So my fingers have hit an extra number and unfortunately it's not been able to pull the image down. Now you might be thinking, yeah, but you've just put that number in. Of course, I'm not going to do that. Well, you might be surprised. Sometimes things happen and you can hit an extra number accidentally. So that is one other example. I'm going to show you another one now. So what I'll do is I will quickly create an image, put it into my private Docker Hub, and then try and pull it down and see what happens. So I can just do something like docker pull, and I'll just do Ubuntu 22.04. Didn't need an at there, I wanted a colon. So I'll pull this down, and then I'll just tag that image. So I'll do docker images, and I will grep for Ubuntu. I'll spell Ubuntu right, and we'll get that image ID, and then I'll just tag it. So I'll do docker tag, and then I need the source image, and then the destination one, which is just going to be trueviles /Ubuntu colon 2204. So I'll do that. And then all I need to do after that is do docker push. So I'll just bring that command up. I'll do docker push. We will push that up. And while that's doing that, I'll quickly log into my account. Okay, and in this account now, I can click on this image and all I need to do is manage repository and make it private. So let's just have a quick look somewhere around here. It might be under settings, make private. There we go. So I can type the name of my repository, which is this. Oh, is it just Ubuntu it needs? Yeah, that's right. So we've made it private. So now I've got this private repository. I'm now going to try and reference that and see if I can pull it down. So I will do drew files / Ubuntu 2204. Brilliant. So in theory, it should work if it was public, but it isn't public. So to deploy this, I'm just going to go ahead and delete the current one, and then we'll reapply it. So I'll do apply. We'll jump back over to the terminal, and we'll do kubectl get pod namespace learning again, and let's take a look. We've got this error image pull, so let's describe it. Okay, slightly different error. So we still get that error image pull, but this time it's saying failed to unpack image, failed to resolve, but now it's saying pull access denied. Repository does not exist or may require authorization. Well, that's an easy fix. We've not done it yet, but actually it's a really easy fix. All we need to do is add an image pull secret. So we can do image pull secrets, and then I can just add a name of something like docker regcred, and then I can just go ahead and create that secret. Now I could just type this in, but for the sake of showing you how this works, if we have a quick look over here, we can see that we have this pull an image from a private registry. I'm not sure if I've done this before, but just for the sake of showing you, just in case, I will quickly show you, as I just said. So all we need to do is create this secret here. So I'll grab that command, we will dump that in, and let's take a look. So file from, and the path is on mine, home drew /docker /config.json. So we can do that, and I'll press enter. We can then have a look to see if that secret exists. So let's just confirm it actually created it. Okay, so we've got that secret. It's actually called regcred, so I'll just change that. Actually, spells it wrong anyway by the looks of it. So regcred, and it's of Kubernetes IO /docker config JSON type. So that's great. That's come up right. And I know that I have this file, so it would have created it from there. If you want to have a look at it, you can. It's just a base64 encoding of your registry credentials from the config.json. And that's it. So we should just be able to apply this now, but I'm going to delete it first just to clear everything out, and then we'll go ahead and apply. So let's do that. Jump back over to the terminal. Let's get that pod. We've got an error image pull again. Why might that be? Have I done Docker login? Yep, that works. So maybe something else has gone wrong. Let's describe that pod and take a look again. So it's still telling us that it may require authorization. Interesting. Let's have a think about this. So I know what I've done wrong already, by the way. I'm just kind of seeing if maybe you came across it yourself. And if you didn't, don't worry. I'm going to show you now. Let's take a look at that create statement again. What's missing from here? We've got a kubectl create secret generic regcred from this file type kubernetes.io config. Yeah, it looks good, right? Well, kind of does. Let's just have a look through our description here. We've got a pod in the namespace learning and is looking for this secret. Well, you may have just spotted it. I'm hoping you did anyway. I mean, like I say, I already knew that I'd done this. It was more of a showing you some troubleshooting. So namespace learning, this is important. This secret must exist in the same namespace as the thing that it's basically being attached to. So what I actually need to do is create that secret in the namespace learning. Another good step to do is that we can just make sure we delete that first. So we're clearing everything out. We can apply it again. Let's jump back over and take a look. It's always a good thing if you're just doing it by default, just take a look. You never know. We can describe that pod and take a look in here. It's still giving us access denied. So maybe we need to check that secret and make sure everything in there is okay. So I'm just going to go ahead and do that. We'll do kubectl get secret namespace learning, and it's called regcred. Well, that exists, so I'm going to actually output this as YAML now. Now, I'm not going to show you the results of this because this will have some sensitive information in from my side, so just bear with me a second. Right, and then there's a base64 encoded file here, so I'm going to grab that, and we'll do echo the base64 encoded bit. I will then pipe that into base64 decode and see what's going on in there. Again, you won't see a lot of this, but hopefully it will give you an idea of what to look for. Now I can see in here that under index.docker.io, we've got this blank section, and we're also using this cred store of desktop.exe. Well, that's no good because that means this is blank. So actually the regcred is not working. I need to actually wipe this out, recreate the secret with the correct bits in, and then see what's going on. I'm going to clear that. So I'll open up the Docker config.json was it, I believe, yeah. And in here, obviously I'm blocking a lot of it out. But what I'm actually going to do down here under cred store is I'm just going to go ahead and delete this bit. which means that when I log in, it will store the credentials in that file. So I'll do a login again now. And now we've got this. So I can do Drew files. And then over on the Docker website, I can go ahead and create a personal access token. So I'll do account settings. We'll do security. And then we've got this requirement here. So I appear to already have had one at some point, but that's clearly not working for me for some reason. So I'm just going to go ahead and actually delete that. We'll create a new token and I'll call this Docker CLI -WSL. And yep, I want it to have all that access. I will just copy that token. Then I'll go ahead and paste that in here. And that's great. It's going to give me the warning because it's telling me it's stored unencrypted in this file. But that's kind of good for me because it means that now I can create that secret again and it will exist. So let's go ahead and delete the pod. We will grab that secret. So create secret. I'm going to go ahead and regcred. I'm going to actually delete the secret instead. And I might as well delete it out of the other namespace too, because that won't work for me either. And now I'll go ahead and do that create secret command again in the namespace learning. We'll do that. I'll apply the pod and jump back over here. I'll do kubectl get pod again in the namespace learning. And now we have that running, because as you can see, DNS utils here is deployed. So let's go ahead and describe that and take a look at it again. So yep, it's pulled the image from there. It successfully pulled it and it's gone ahead and created it. So great. We've now got our own private image being pulled using image pull secrets. And you can see there how things can go wrong easily if you're not kind of looking in the right place, I guess. So obviously I was using a private image here, but actually all I needed to do was add some image credentials to be able to pull it. And that was it. So that's a couple of bits there. Now I'm just going to go ahead and grab this external DNS one here. We'll pop that into this folder. So all I'm going to do in here is change this namespace to learning, this namespace to learning, this namespace to learning, and down here, I'm going to change Cloudflare proxied to Cloudflare proxy. That is it. So I'll do kubectl, apply F23, external DNS, and that's it. Let's go ahead and apply that and see what happens. So let's jump over to here and we'll take a look at this. So kubectl, get pod, namespace learning, and we should see that it's got a problem. So that's fine. We'll grab that. We'll do kubectl, get pod, namespace learning, describe pod. And I'll just actually tail this because we don't need all of it. You know, the last few lines will do. And to be honest, I know the Cloudflare token is going to be in there somewhere, so don't want to expose it. So let's take a look. We've got successfully assigned, pulled image, successful, created, started, container, image, already on the machine. That's fine. We already knew that because we've deployed external DNS already. But then we've just got this back off. But it doesn't give us anything, does it? It just says back off restarting failed container, external DNS in the pod. Great. Okay, well, what use is that to us? Let's go and take a look at something else then. So kubectl, get pod, namespace learning, and then we've got this one here, which has now switched to an error state. I'm going to do kubectl logs, F for follow, so this will just continue tailing essentially the log, and then put the pod name in. Put the namespace at the end, and let's see what's going on here. So if I press enter, straight away, there we go. Okay, so one line, level fatal, flag parsing error, unknown long flag, this. Okay, well, I obviously purposely errored that, but you might come to your app and go, oh, well, I know what that is because I don't know. I don't know that flag. That's not a flag that I'm supposed to be using. So I'll go and fix that. That's an easy fix. Let's go back over and fix it. So we jump into here, we change this to proxied, redeploy, and this would be up and running. So that's a log there. Sometimes you'll have masses and masses of logs, like endless amount of logs almost, but they will make sense once you hit the error. So for example, let's just jump into kubectl, get pod namespace cert manager. And I just want to show you the massive log I'm talking about here. So there won't be an error in here. This is working, but if I do kubectl, logs, F, cert manager, namespace cert manager. And you can see here, look, there's a lot of logging information going on here. And it's a case sometimes of just going through, reading each line, looking for, like, for example, this is information, this is a warning. Sometimes you'll see an E for an error. So sometimes it's just a case of digging through those logs and seeing what's going on. And eventually and all logs are different as well for what it's worth. Not all of them will have this bit at the start. Some of them will have, like we saw here, where it's actually level fatal. So it depends on the app. It depends on the way they log and what login system they use. They can all be a bit different. So sometimes it can be quite painful going through. So it's a case of reading through each line carefully, and eventually one of them will give you the answer. And it's not always the last line, by the way. Sometimes you'll look at the last line, it'll give you an error, but actually the error is up here because the error started here and then it gave you an error. So it's always worth reading up and having a look through, okay? And just on top of that, you can do kubectl logs and then help. And in here, you'll see that there's a lot more you can do as well. So you can do tail, you can do since a certain time, you can do the follow command. Like I say, there's a bunch of extra flags that you can pass onto it here as well. So it's worth having a look through the help there just to see if you can refine your logs a bit for what you need. And finally, the last thing I'm going to show you is Kubectl Events. And the event system is pretty much what you see at the bottom of the describe pod. So I'll just quickly show you. If I do Kubectl Events, namespace learning, you'll see here we've got all the information from all the different pods. We can see that we had some error image pools. We can see the image pool back off. We can see everything from good to bad. And we can again refine that even further. So if I do help on this, we can do what types of events. So for example, if we look at some of the examples, we can say I only want the warning and normal events. So let's do that. Okay, that's really useful. And yeah, so we can refine that even further. I don't want normal ones, I just want warnings. Here's some warnings that I'm getting now. So we can refine even further. We can also order them via time and things like that, because you'll notice that they're not really in time order all the time. Sometimes they are, sometimes they're not. So it's worth having a look through that a little bit further through the help command. And that's just some of the way we can troubleshoot pods. And that's it. That's everything I'm going to show you for troubleshooting pods. Now, as I say, there is much more you can do, because you need to know your apps that you're deploying. You need to understand how things are being deployed. And it's important to know those things, because otherwise you're going to struggle looking through logs. But crash loop backoffs, image issues, generally checking logs, looking at events, these are good starting points. Now, sometimes you can be digging through for a while, and there are tools to help you collate those logs, such as Loki. We will look at them later. It's a good starting point. Like I say, I can't show you everything because I don't know every app and I don't know how to troubleshoot every app. It's a case of using a little bit of logic in basically, if you can't find it in crash loop backoff or events or any image issues, you need to look at your logs. That's kind of the last place to be looking, because if there is an issue, it should show up in there. If the application's well-built, you'll get decent logs out of it as well. So in the next video, we're going to be looking at troubleshooting nodes, which involves checking the kubelet logs, which have pretty good logs. So I guess I'll see you over there.